Look, we all know staying compliant is a huge deal in business, right? But what if I told you the way you're handling it, well, it might actually be holding you back? Today, we're going to dive into how tech, specifically SAP GRC Process Control, is completely changing the game for internal controls. I mean, just think about it for a second. The endless spreadsheets, the manual sample testing, your team spending weeks just getting ready for an audit. Sound familiar? Yeah, you're not alone. So many companies are still stuck using a compliance model that was frankly built for a totally different era. So you've got this tale of two approaches, right? On one side, you have the old manual way. It's slow, it's expensive, it's just begging for human error, and it only gives you this tiny little snapshot in time. But on the other side, you've got automation. And wow, is it a different story? It's fast, it's continuous, it's comprehensive, it's a total game changer. And that really gets to the heart of the problem with manual compliance. I love this analogy. It's like being on a treadmill. You're putting in a ton of effort, you're sweating, but you're just looking backward at what's already happened. You're not actually moving forward and proactively managing risk as it pops up. Okay, so this is where SAP GRC Process Control swoops in to save the day. So what is it? Put simply, it's this incredibly powerful solution built to automate the monitoring and testing of your internal controls. The real magic is that it embeds compliance directly into your key business processes. It takes it from being this boring, periodic manual chore to something that's just always on, always automated. So you're probably wondering, how does this thing actually work? Well, the best way to think of process control is like an automated watchdog for your business. Instead of you having to rely on manual checks, it is constantly scanning your systems, looking for exceptions, deviations, any potential red flags, all based on the rules that you set up. Seriously, just picture it. Imagine having an internal auditor that is on the job 24/7, never gets tired, never takes a day off, and it's looking at all your transactions, not just some tiny random sample. That right there is the power of continuous automated monitoring. It gives you a level of assurance that, let's be honest, manual testing could never even dream of matching. So at its core, this whole continuous monitoring thing inside SAP Process Control follows a pretty logical 5-step process. It's designed to take you all the way from setting up the rules right through to reporting on the results. So let's break down exactly what those steps are. All right, step 1. You define your data sources and your business rules. Basically, you're telling the system, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Step 2, you map those rules to specific controls in your really important processes, like finance or procurement. Step 3 is where the system takes over and starts monitoring all your transactions against those rules. Then, step 4, if it finds any exceptions, it analyzes them and automatically kicks off a workflow to get it fixed. And finally, step 5, it gives you all this powerful analytics and reporting so you can see exactly what's going on. Now, this is super important. Automation isn't a one-size-fits-all deal here. You can have a test that's fully automated, where the system does everything. It finds the issue, it rates it, the whole shebang. Or you can set it up to be semi-automated. In that case, the system does all the heavy lifting, gathering the data, but then it sends it over to a real person for the final call. That flexibility is absolutely key. Finding a problem is great, but it's really only half the battle, isn't it? The real value comes from fixing it, and fixing it for good, making sure it doesn't just happen again next week. And that's where SAP Process Control really shines, because it gives you a complete framework to manage the entire life cycle of an issue. So check this out. When an issue pops up, the system doesn't just, send a generic email and hope for the best. No way. It triggers a formal remediation plan. We're talking root cause analysis and defining what's called CAPA. That's corrective and preventive actions. It creates this perfect, full audit trail so you can prove that issues aren't just found, they are verifiably resolved. It's a true closed-loop system, which is exactly what you want. Okay, so this all sounds pretty amazing from a tech perspective, but let's get down to brass tacks. What does this actually mean for the business, for the bottom line? Let's talk about the real-world impact you see when you switch over to an automated compliance model. First off, and this is a big one, you slash your audit costs. I mean, think about it. By automating all that evidence collection and testing, you're cutting way down on the manual hours needed from your own people and your external auditors. That crazy prep time before an audit, it shrinks dramatically because all the evidence is just there, always ready, always reliable. Benefit number 2, you actually strengthen your core business processes. By embedding these controls right into the flow of things, like your order-to-cash process or procure-to-pay, you just inherently make them stronger and more reliable. Controls stop being this annoying afterthought and instead become part of the very fabric of how your company operates. And finally, let's talk about the strategic advantage, because this is huge. When you can monitor massive volumes of transactions in near real time, you make this incredible shift. You go from being reactive, always running around putting out fires, to being proactive. You can spot trends, you can fix systemic problems as they are happening, not, 6 months later when an auditor points it out. So, let me leave you with this question. Just imagine for a second, what could your team achieve if you freed them up from that repetitive, soul-crushing grind of manual testing? What kind of strategic initiatives could they focus on? How could they go from being the compliance police to being true strategic partners who actually drive growth and efficiency? That is the real promise of automation. Thanks for joining us for this look into